Okay, good to vach everyone. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us as we start the top of Pei Tesam at Aleph. So the Mishnah said, Chatzi loig shemen l'toida, a half a loig of oil for the Thanksgiving offerings. That's for the 30 loaves of matzah, the 30 unleavened loaves, have a half a lug of oil. How do we know this? So the Gemara says, Tanya, Rabbi Kiva, Aimer, Ma Talmud Leimer, B'Shemen, Shemen, Shnei Pa'amim. Why does it say B'Shemen twice? Ilo Leimer, Ela B'Shemen Echad. If it would have said Shemen once, Hayisi Aimer, Hariu, Kekala Menachos, it would be like all the Menachos, L'Loik. And it would be a like Shemen. Achshav Shekasa B'Shemen, so that's a Riboy Achar Riboy, Avi Riboy Achar Riboy. It's an inclusionary, following an inclusionary. So therefore, it cuts it in half. So the Gemara says, I don't understand. One Bashemen is needed l'gufei. So that's only one riboy. How is it riboy achar riboy? Riboy achar riboy, chad riboy. It's only one riboy, because it has to say one shemen to tell you that you need oil. Says, well, no. If it wouldn't say shemen at all, I would say it's like all the other menachos. So you see, I'm Ari Kekala menachos like. Achshav shenema now, so both bashemens are not needed. Achshav shenema bashemen. Have a riba achar riba. It's a riba achar riba. Vein riba achar riba. Lamayit mir to akosef lechatzi look. Only a chatzi look. Now. Yachol yeh chatzi lug zeh mischalekes mischalek l'shloisha minim. Right, there are three types of the matzah. Right, chalos, rikikim, and revucha, loaves, wafers, and scalded. So I might think we should take that chatzi lug and divide it into three. Yeah, right. So that's what we would think. Yachol yeh chatzi lug zeh mischalek l'shloisha minim, divided to the three different types: l'chalos, l'rikikim, and l'revicha. However, kishu aimer b'shemen b'revicha, since it says an extra shemen by the scalded ones, she'ein Talmud Laima riba shemen l'revicha. That comes to tell us that the scalded 10 loaves get an extra amount of oil. Hakeitzad maybe chatzi like shemen. We bring a half a log of oil. V'chaitzea we half it. Chetzia l'chalos l'rekikin, half for the chalos and the wafers. V'chetzia l'revicha, and half for the scalded loaves. Amalei Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah says the source isn't from Shemen, rather it's Halach l'Moshe Sinai. Amalei Rebbe Elazar ben Azariah Akiva im atamar b'kol hayom kulei b'Shemen. You could tell me the whole day about Shemen. Eini sheme'elach, because I have a tradition. Elachatzi loig shemen l'toida, that a half a loig of shemen is used for the toida, or reviya shemen l'nazir, and a reviya shemen for the loaves of the nazir. The echad asa yom shebei nida l'nida, and 11 days of yemei ziva, that's in between a nida to a nida, right? In between our 7 days of nidas, there's 11 days of ziva where if she sees blood, she's a shemeres yom keneged yom, and if she sees blood 3 days, she's a zava gedayla. That is 11 days is Allah l'Moshe Sinai. Now, the Mishnah says, "Belug hayamaydeid." With the amount of a lug, they measure all of they do all of the menachos. Tan Rabbanan, b'mitzayra ani, by the poor mitzayra ksiv, isaron balul v'lug, an isaron mixed with a lug. Limed al isaron, that an isaron shetan lug divrei chacham. So that means that if you dedicate 5 isaron, you need 5 lugin. That's the opinion of chacham. Reb Nechemia v'Reb Eliezer Aimrim, afilu mincha shel shishim esrainim, even if it's a mincha of 60 esrainim, it still only gets 1 lug shemen. Ein lo ela luga shenema lemincha v'lug shemen. Reb Nechemia Reb Eliezer hayi saran balul v'lug my avdil. Like, what does they do with isaron needed with a lug? They don't hold that each isaron needs a lug. What do they do with that pasuk? Hahula gufei, that's coming to tell you the ka'amar rachmana laisi chad isaron, that you have to bring for a mincha 1 isaron of flour. The idach legufei loy tzarach. Why? Midigali Rachmana Gabi Mitzayra, Gimel Karbanas, Vigimel Esrainas, that by a rich Mitzayra, there's 3 Karbanas and 3 Esrainas, so a poor Mitzayra has 1 carbon and 1 Isaron. Hachad Echad carbon, Chad Isaron. The Idach, he says, no, it has to tell me in Isaron, because I might think since the fact that he's poor, we give him a break, and we say he doesn't have to bring the 2 other Karbanas. It's to bring carbon in poverty and not to have to bring 3 karbanas. Maybe he doesn't need the oil. The idach and the others say no. You don't find that unless he's a sinner that there should be a carbon without oil. The Rabbanan who hold that every Yisara needs another lug. What do they do with the pasuk? Rabbanan hay lemincha v'lug shemen my avdelay. Hahula misnadev mincha. That comes to tell me that if you dedicate a mincha, shelo yichchais medavar atoin lug, it should never be less than something that needs a lug. Or my nuyu isaron. The idach and the other one says tartei shmat mina. We learn 2 things. We learn that the minimum is in isaron. And we learn that no matter how many Yisraelim there are, all you need is 1 lug of shemen. Now we said that a hin is 12 lug, and therefore a chatzi hin is 6 lug, a shlishis ahin is 4 lug, and a revius ahin is 3 lug. The problem is, where do we know that a hin is 12 lug? Believe it or not, this is one of the things that we learned from a gematria. Shisha lapar, 6 lug for a par, because it says chatz again. Abola ayil, 4 for an ayil, because it says shlishas ahin. And shloisha lekeves, and 3 for a lamb, because it says revius ahin. Minolan. How do we know that a hin is 12 lug? Dichsiv v'niskeim chatzi ahin yir lapar. A half of a hin for a par, so a half of a hin is 6 lug. Hin tresa luge avian, and hin is 12 lug. How do we know that? Dichsiv shemen zayis hin, olive oil a hin, v'ksiv shemen mishchas kodesh yeh zeh li l'doroseichem. This should be for me for all generations. Zeh is b'gematria 12. Zeh b'gematria treser havin. So we know that a hin is 12 lug. Now we said there's 3.5 lug for the menorah, a half a lug for every lamp. Shloisha machzal menorah, chatzi lug l'kol ner. Where do we know that each lamp gets a half a lug? Menani mili. The Tana Rabbanan, it says, me erev ad boker, from evening until morning, tein la midasa, put in the proper amount, shetei dolekes voileches me erev ad boker. Davar achar, another pshat, it says, me erev ad boker, from erev until boker, ein lach avodah sheksherim me erev ad boker. There's no avodah that's kosher the whole evening. Most of the avodas are kosher during the day. There's no kosher avodah that's kosher from evening till morning. Elazubel vat, the menorah. The shira chachamim and the chacham have evaluated that how much do you have to put in that it should light from erev ad boker? Chatzi lug, a half a lug. Shira chacham chatzi lug may urtavat safra, from the evening until the morning. Now, how did they test that out? First they tested a lug and they saw they didn't need that much. Then they tested 3/4 of a lug, they saw they didn't need that much. And then they tested a half a lug and that was perfect. They started from low to high. They tested a quarter, it wasn't enough. Right? And then they tested a half and it was enough. Because they didn't want to waste oil. The Torah was concerned about the money of Klal Yisrael. They tried from high to low. There's no cheapness in the place of wealth in the Beis Hamikdash. Now, an interesting thing is that the ratio of the mincha of the par is the same ratio of the mincha of an ayil. Because a par has 3 yisarim, and a chatzihin. So it's 3 Yisarain and 6 lug of oil. So that's a ratio of 2 to 1. That's the same ratio as an ayil, because a ram, it has 2 Yisarain, and it has a shlisha sahin. A shlisha sahin is 4 lug. So that's 4 to 2, and 6 to 3 are both the same ratio of 2 to 1. So therefore they can be mixed if inadvertently they got mixed. And that's what the Mishnah tells us. Ma'ar v'nischei parim b'nischei elam. If the menachos of a par got mixed up with a mincha of a ram, it could be mixed. Nichsei kvasim b'nichsei kvasim. Now the lamb has a different ratio, because the lamb is 1 Yisaran, but it's a Revi'ah Sahin, which is 3 lug. So there it's a ratio of 3 to 1. So it's a different ratio, so it can't be mixed with the paradile. But if different lambs get mixed up, that's okay. Nischei ksvasim and nischei ksvasim could get mixed up. Or shel yochid b'shel tzibur, even of an individuals and communities can get mixed up. And shel yoim b'shel emesh. Now shel yoim b'shel emesh means, if you remember, we said in the Sachim doesn't have to be offered up on the same day. It could be offered up even the next day or 10 days later. So if a nesachim of the carbon of the day before gets mixed up with the nesachim of today, it's okay. You cannot mix the nissei kvasim with the nissei parim ve'elim, because the nissei parim ve'elim, its ratio of flour to oil is 2 to 1, right? In the case of a par, it's 3 yisaron to 6 lug of oil, and by the ayil it's 2 yisaron to 4 lug of oil. That's a ratio of 2 to 1. While the keves is 1 yisaron to 3 lug. That's a ratio of 3 to 1. They can't get mixed up. Now, however, if each one was kneaded separately and then afterwards got mixed up, but if it got mixed up before they were kneaded, since they have different ratios, it's possible. Now, the lamb that was brought together with the omer had its own nesachim. But there was a special halacha that its mincha needed 2 isarin. Afal pisha minchasei kfula, and it needed 2 isarin. Lo yoyu nechsachav kfulan, but it's like oil, and its wine was not doubled. So our Mishnah seems to be very lackadaisical about karbanas getting mixed up. V'remino, we learn not that way. Viktiru, you smoke up a carbon, viktiro. Shelo yerav chalavim b'chalavim. Fats of one carbon should not get mixed up with fats of another carbon. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, our Mishnah only means b'di'evid. Im nis'arvu k'amar. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. The beginning of the Mishnah sounds like it's l'chatchila. It says, ve'em arvin nischei kvasim b'nichsei parim ve'elim. And over there, even if they get mixed up, it's no good. If they were mixed separately, so that means the later part of the Mishnah is b'di'evid. Michlal the Reisha that says that you could mix parim with elim is mashbi even l'chachila k'amar. Amar Abaye, so Abaye says, here's the way to read it. Hachi kamer, ma'arvin yenon, you could mix their wines l'chatchila, im nis'arvin silton v'shimnon. And the reason why you could mix their wines is because the wine doesn't go on the mizbech. The wine goes poured into the vat. And that could be done l'chadchila. Says the Gemara, only if their flour and oil got mixed up, only then you're allowed to mix the wine. You're not allowed to mix the wine if the oil and the flour didn't get mixed up. Wines of different karbanos can be mixed up. This is the way we unravel the problem. Where you already smoked up the flour and the oil, in other words, the mincha, then you could mix the wines l'chatchila. Ma'avin yayin l'chatchila. But heichad loy hukter, if you didn't smoke up the shemen and the flour yet, imnis arva silta mishamnam, if they got mixed up, ma'avin namiyena. But if not, v'imlav ein ma'avin, because we're afraid that if you mix up the wine, you might mix up the flour and the oil too, which is not l'chatchila. Dilma asi liyeruve silas v'shemen l'chatchila, which is not allowed. Now, keves haba im ha'omer, the lamb that comes together with the omer, we said its accompanying mincha has a double amount of flour, 2 esrainim. Tan Rabbanan, uminchas shnei esrainim. Lime, this reveals to you al keves haba im ha'omer that the lamb that comes with the omer sheminchasei kfula. Now, I might say that just like the mincha is double, so also its oil and its wine should also be double. Yachol kashem sheminchasei kfula kach yeinoi kafel. Its wine should be double. Talmud leimer v'nisko yayin revius ahin. Its wine is still a quarter of a hin, the normal amount of a ram. Yachol lo yeh yeinoi kafel, because it's not mixed in together with the flour. Sheina nivla minchasei. Aval yehei shemnoi kafel, but I might think that you should double the oil. Shenivla minchasei, and it gets mixed up with the flour. So just like the flour is double, I might think the oil is also double. Talmud leimer v'niskai kol nechasav lo yoel revius. All its nechasav nesachav, whether it's the oil or the wine, is only a revius ahin, is only 3 lug, and not double. So the Gemara says, how do you know that from v'niskai? My Talmudah. It's a creek sieve. Amar Rabbi Lazik, sieve v'niskai, it's written with a hay. V'karinon v'niskai, but we read it v'niskai. Keitzad, niska de mincha, the nesech of the mincha, the oil that accompanies the mincha, kiniskai de yayin, is like the libation. Ma yayin is not doubled, it's only revius. Av shemen nami revius, and it's not doubled. And now the Gemara takes us on another journey. We need somebody for this. Baruch Hashem, we have a lot of contestants over here. But since Marshall is healthy, and he looks like he's up to trouble, he was in trouble and now he's up to trouble. So Marshall brings an Oshem Mitzayra and he shechs it Shaloi Lishmai. Shechs it for a different Oshem. He shechs it for Oshem Shivka Charufa. He's thinking about Shivcha Charufas. So he shechs it for Shivcha Charufa instead of shechting it for an Oshem Mitzayra. Now what do we say about, except for a Chatas, if a carbon is shechted Shaloi Lishmai, it's kosher. Just it's Loyola L'Baylam L'Shem Chayv. He has to bring another one. The Chiddush that the Gemara says is that since he has to bring it, he has to finish it with all its proper trimmings. So let's see that inside. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Ashim Mitzayra Sheshachta Shaloi Lishmai, Ta'an Nisachim. It needs to be brought accompanied by its mincha and wine. Shemi Ata Omer came, because if you don't do that, Pesaltai. And you can't disqualify it, because the din is it's kosher, it just doesn't fulfill his requirement. Says the Gemara, if that's true, then we should say this by a lot of other cases. If it's the lamb that comes with the omer, sheshachtu shaloi l'shmai, that Marshall shechs shaloi l'shmai, so we should say mincha kfula. We should double the mincha. Shimiata kaim, if you don't do it with all the trimmings, besalta. And not only that, let's say Marshall shechted the Talmud shel Shachar shaloi l'shma. Now he's going national. The Talmud shel Shachar shel Shachar shaloi l'shma. They have to bring another one. Yeiton shnei gezirin. It should need all the trimmings of a Talmud. It should need the 2 logs. B'kayin echad. Shimiata kaim. If you don't do it with all the trimmings, besalta. And the Talmud shel bein ha'boyim. And if he shechts the afternoon Talmud. Sheshachta shaloi l'shmai, yeton shnei gezirin. It should need the 2 logs, which the Talmud shel bein ha'boyim. The 2 logs have to be brought b'shnei kahanim. Shimiata oimer came b'saltai. Says the Gemara Nachanami. Yeah, that's the way it is. When Marshall messes up, he has to do the one that he messed up with all the trimmings, because remember it's kosher. It's just that you have to also. It's a do-over. It just uses one example. What are we going to stay here the whole day and mention all of Marshall's mistakes? It's going to be a long day. Now, look how Eddie went away. He was afraid I was going to use him, so he got scarce.
Where's Barry?
Barry hasn't been feeling well.
He wasn't sure this morning.
Oh, Baruch Hashem. Please tell him, Irving, that we miss him very much. Now,
It's for our date tonight, Saba.
Rabbi Abba says, no. You see, in the case of the Talmud, when he does the rest of it, remember, it doesn't fulfill the mitzvah of Talmud, because he did Shaloi Lishma. So he has to bring another one anyway. This first one he could finish like an Eilas Nadava, like a regular Eilah. So it doesn't need this special 2 logs, because an Eilah you could bring Nadava also. Rabbi Abba Mabishloim Ahanach Eilis Ninu. They're Eilis. So since the first one he messed up, and he did Shaloi Lishma, he could finish it off as a regular Eilas Nadava. Because he did a Shaloi Lishma, Karve Eilas Nadava. And then it wouldn't need the special logs and 1 kain or 2 kain. But over here it's an Asham. If you don't do it with all the conditions of an Asham Mitzayra, you can't bring an Asham B'Nadava. Elahachi Eloi Mukmasei B'Milsei, Asham Nadava Mika, you can't bring a voluntary Asham. And the Gemara says, Tanya Kavasi Rabbi Yochanan, we have a brayso like Rabbi Yochanan, Asham Mitzayra Sheshachta Shaloi L'Shmai, if Marshall shechs the Asham Shaloi L'Shmai, or Eddie, who's jet-lagged, he doesn't take the blood and put it on the Bahainis. He doesn't take the blood and put it on the Bahin Yad, Bahin Regel, the Imanis of the Mitzayra. Just it has to be a do-over, but it goes on the Mizbeach. But you have to do it with all its pitchiklach, v'tar nisachim, it needs libations, and then v'tzarech ashim acher latiroi, since it was done shaloi l'shma, or it wasn't done with the proper blood placements, you need to bring another ashim in order to permit the Mitzayra to start eating kachim again, and enter in the Mikdash, and live like a regular human being. Okay, that's round 1 of our Matzah Shabbos marathon. Just pause a moment to turn over the tape.